Don't be distracted by the red lights.
Did I get this after?
Yeah, most definitely.
Whoa. Is this like going somewhere important or?
Hey, Matt Cass, are you trying to give us one?
What do you mean?
Why does everybody say
Where's
they
the
look like
video
shocked?
What?
Shocking all in their voice. No, because I heard they went for the K.
I voted for the K last round. It was, yeah. D-Herb and
Voted for the
versus Lauren and Pace Kid.
They're both Pace Kid.
Was it the satellites gang?
Alright, what?
No, it was Heidegger.
Ellie's was yeah, Ellie's going. So
At least I climbed it one.
She's not here.
really? Because I think we just said that like
No,
4 people.
I,
said
no,
that.
I didn't hear. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That young Skip that young Yes.
That marks this like going on YouTube or
What?
why is this being recorded?
Oh, because.
No.
So you give 2AR over and over again.
I'm going for Condo. In that case, you've already seen me dominate Rishi on Condo. It shouldn't be a surprise.
It was more of just
Two things that Matt Cass
from Kelly's joke. This just go.
When did Kelly make a joke?
The whole your plan has a USFG in it.
I didn't know that was a joke.
I thought it was a joke. I laughed.
Okay, Condo.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah. Okay.
I ain't entirely serious.
All right. Shh. Are we ready?
Cool beans.
Conditionality has to be a voting issue, otherwise it becomes a no-risk option. The negative still harms affirmative strategy. Rejecting the argument is what conditionality is a loss. It's the only fair punishment. You cannot look me in the face at the end of the round and tell me you did not vote on conditionality when the 2-R does not say reject the argument of the team 2. Clear this as their interpretation that were conceded versus strategies 2. It is impossible for me to read offense against one of the advocacies in the 2AC because they can use it against us in another flow. In a world of one conditional counterpart, we would get to read our offense against the counterpart. If they use it against us in another flow, that would not be as bad because we would get to leverage our offense against the status quo. However, because they have read 2 conditional advocacies they can read 2, they can force us to read offense against 1, then kick out of that advocacy and cross apply and use it against us in another flow. This happened in this round when we read offense against the renewable energy counterpart. They used that as a link to the critique, and I know that I'm not able to substantively answer the K because the multiple conditional advocacies uniquely screwed us over. Second is advocacy deals this out of their interpretation. Conditionality means they are bad advocates to their position. We could have had a sweet debate about what kind of renewable energy the military should be using, whether it should be space-based or on the ground. However, they have bypassed the entire debate because we found one good card to answer their counterplan. They had a pretty good card from all solvency advocate that said they counterplan could do the but they were scared of debating us, and the fact that they had multiple conditional advocacies means they did not have to engage in the substance of that debate, and I did not get to go for the hegemony advantage. They have fundamentally messed up the counter-interpretation. One counter-interpretation solves their offense. The 2AC is a little bit harder. There is no risk of infinite aggression. Still gives them sufficient negative flexibility. He says they only read 2 conditional counterplans. I don't think that's an extension of his counter-interpretation, but even if it is, our disadds to their interpretation still apply. Now, debate is a technical game that they have lost. The 2-R makes 4 arguments. All of them are incredibly stupid. They think 2 solves but versus this still links to the strategies 2 offense that I isolated above. The 2AC cannot read the best offense against the counterplan because they could use it against us another foe. We have in-round example. The counterplan and the critique are mutually exclusive. Ellie, I know D-Hike goes on a rant every single year about how performative contradictions are really bad. They have performatively contradicted themselves. I do not need to give it to you now. They say that they have internally turned our 2AC offense, but it is not that the 2AC is harder. It is that the 2AC is impossible and the EF is structurally fucked from the beginning of the debate. Now they say that also this is incredibly stupid. It means that it justifies ripping up my opponent's flows. That would make debate harder. That obviously does not make debate better. Now they say infinite regression. We do not need to win infinite regression because we have a disad to 2 counter-interpretations. Their only prayer of winning is winning negative flexibility. They have conceded uniqueness. You would not vote for a team that only goes for the economy high now against an economy advantage because there is only a risk that the S also. The same thing is happening now. The negative has sufficient flexibility. All the Fs on the topic below. That was a 1AR claim that was not answered on conditionality. Even if you think he said something on the K that responded to this, you cannot make that cross-application for him because it is impossible for me to predict how these arguments interact. I am only responding to the 4 arguments that were in the 1AR. Also, our argument is not an infinite regression. It is not a potential abuse claim. It is their interpretation justifies the potential abuse claim that their interpretation doesn't justify is us saying that their counter-interpretation means that they get 10 counterplans. That is not our argument. Our argument is that 2 conditional advocacies is enough for them to screw the affirmative over from the 1A from the 1 and C. Now I'm going to spend a lot of time answering the negative flexibility argument. First is the 2 and R conceded topic bias, which means that there is a structural bias towards the negative. The negative does not need more flexibility to win because every F in this topic is solved by the international actor counterplanet. Worse can just go for the critique. Also, they have conceded a structural bias claim. The block has 13 minutes to screw over the 1 hour, which is exactly what happened in this debate. Also, Damien beat Westminster in quarters of Glenbrook's last year on 1 unconditional counterplane. Beacon roll teams on the K all the time. The negative does not need flexibility to win. They only need flexibility if they are lazy researchers. Now, Josh Clark, I know Idris lost last round on conditionality, but the 2 and R was terrible in this round on him. You have to vote that you can use the post-round RFD to explain to them how to actually defend conditionality. I know you might be negative on this question in a normal debate, but they have not argued conditionality sufficiently well for you to trigger that preference. Ellie, I'm going to repeat this. I know JP and D-High give lectures on this every single year. Now is the time. Matt Cass, you have to draw a line. NET Finals was for conditional advocacies. You probably don't want to answer that. You have to draw a line. This round would obviously set a precedent. If you vote F on a 3-0 against conditionality in this round, all of these people would be scared to read conditional counterplans. This is a room full of people that you have a unique opportunity to influence. You should not throw this away. This is the one chance you have. If we will probably not be able to beat Mark Chacombe in semis on this, you should set a precedent here that multiple conditional advocacies is illegitimate. I know there's a community bias against this. There, you should stand on that. You should stand on that. The arguments for multiple conditional advocacies and one conditional advocacy are not different. However, there is a unique offense against two conditional counterplans that does not apply to one. Their only offense is negative flexibility. That is a linear disadvantage that we have given it a lot of. They get enough negative flexibility in a world of our counterinterpretation, in a world of debate as it is. However, their interpretation screws over debate. I know. Also, the setting a precedent argument answers the infinite regression thing. They have no offense that is not unique. They have what's supposed to be a link turn, but they don't have uniqueness for that link turn. There is no offense. Counterinterpretation solves if anything they think is offense. We have a clear dissent of their interpretation.